All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. This is Rosh, and this is a video series I'm putting together called AxeFX III Basics. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for commenting, liking, subscribing. So a little about me. I'm an LA-based guitar player and guitar tech. So some of my clients include Dweezil Zappa, Steve Vai, Melissa Etheridge, Perfect Circle, Bush, Def Leppard, and more. So I wanted to give back to the Fractal community and show some of my approaches on how to build presets, how to program your Fractal Audio AxeFX III. So this question came up in one of the comments. Can you explain how to use the per preset MIDI functions? So this is basically a very specific question having to do with the FC series foot controllers that are companion hardware that goes with the Fractal Audio AxeFX III. So I will definitely in the future talk about some of the foot controller functions and start from the basics for there, but this is a very good question and I wanted to answer it. So the foot controller series has a very special feature called per preset foot controller. So what I've done is I've made two identical presets. So we have this per preset one with PPFC, which is per preset foot controller. And we have, where'd it go? Oh, I'm sorry. And then we have preset one without the per preset foot controller. Okay, so this scenario kind of comes up a lot. And basically what happens is this. You have a preset, and if you click here and you have the FC12 set up, you can program any of these buttons to be anything. So generally, this is kind of how most people set up. You have your bank switches here. You have your scenes for this particular preset. So every time you bank up, it's going to go to the next preset. Every time you bank down, it goes to the previous preset. You have your 5 scenes within this preset. I've labeled them scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, scene 5. And then you have your effects here. And you have basically, these would be like your snot boxes on your traditional analog pedal board. So I have drive 1, drive 2, reverb, delay, and chorus. And they correspond to these drives. So drive 1, drive 2, reverb, delay, and chorus. And remember that these buttons do not need to be in the same order as they are on the grid. They can be in any order. It's completely independent. This is just the order I generally would put these basic effects in a preset like this. So the per preset foot controller thing can be a little bit confusing. So here's the scenario where it happens. So you have two identical presets, and in this preset, you have these effects that you have access to turn on and off within a preset or a scene. Now, hypothetically, let's say that you are in the next preset, and instead of this drive 2 block, for example, maybe you want to use a flanger instead. So you change this, you go to Effect, and then maybe you select, oh, okay, cool, I want a flanger in this preset, and or maybe, I don't know, whatever, you want a compressor in this preset. So you change that, you save it, and then here's what happens. If you go back to the other preset, now this foot controller is programmed that this particular button is always going to be the compressor, no matter what preset you're on. So I could be in an empty preset, I could be in the preset without the per preset foot controller, and it's always going to remain the compressor no matter what. So let's return this back to the drive. So globally, the way you want to think about this is globally, it should be drive 2. Globally, you have these effect controllers that are going to bypass a certain effect, but within the preset, you can change these individually so that only when you load this particular preset, these could be a completely different layout. These could turn on and off different effects. So for example, in this preset without per preset foot controller, we'll just keep these as our like basic effects. But let's say hypothetically here, you add a compressor block and you adjust it to whatever settings you want, and you go, okay, cool. So this is going to be, we'll just call this preset with compressor. So they're completely identical, but number 43, this preset has a compressor in it. And then you get in a situation where you're like, well, I don't really need the drive 2 block in this particular preset, but I want to be able to turn on and off my compressor. Fractal solution to that was per preset foot controller. So here's how it works. within this preset, you have 24 slots of per preset foot controllers that you can assign to any function. And basically, they only live within this preset. Anytime you are outside of this preset, they don't exist. So you can actually completely customize your foot controller depending on the preset. So for example, you would go to per preset 1, and let's make sure that it turns on the compressor instead. So we'll select the category effect. Our function is we want to bypass it, so whenever we turn it on and off. And we're going to do the compressor. Now, in addition to that, you can also change the color. So what I find is that if you have something that's a per preset function, I usually use a different color just so you know that this particular effect or this particular thing that you've assigned to it only exists within this preset. So let's make that orange for, let's use pink because that effect or that color hasn't shown up yet. So now what we do is we save it. And if we go back to the foot controller function, you'll notice that this drive 2 block still there. This is like our global pedal board, but we want to use only within this preset with compressor, we want to use that per preset number 1. So we select per preset number 1, and then this global switch, it will be overridden by this compressor now. So when you look at your foot controller, you're going to notice that it's going to say drive, compressor, because this is the per preset number 1 slot that you've used, reverb, delay, chorus. We're going to save that. Now, if I go back and forth between these two presets, this is going to go back to the global setting because per preset number 2 does not exist in this preset. See, these slots are all open within this without the PPFC. So hopefully that's not too confusing, but again, in this preset, we're just using our global settings for whatever we want. And then in this preset, this is going to be the compressor now. So you could actually assign these to be completely different blocks. So let's say we're going to do an effect. Let's have this control, I don't know, the flanger. Let's have this, and we'll make it pink. Let's control the, I don't know, pitch, and we'll make it pink just so that we can see that it's different. And then let's control the rotary, and we'll make it pink again just so it's easy to see. And then last but not least, we'll control synth. And these are just arbitrary effects that I'm picking right now. So in this particular preset, we can assign all these per preset functions to be completely independent of the entire rest of your fractal. So when we go to this preset that has no per preset overrides, this is our global. But when we go to the preset with the overrides, we have a completely new set of effects that we can use and have access to. So this makes a really great way to decide that, okay, this particular preset, I want to have overdrives and choruses and delays that I control, but then in another preset, you want to control a completely different set of effects. So you would use the per preset foot controller. So hopefully that's kind of a basic overview of how to use the per preset overrides. The main takeaway is that if you want to have any of your foot controllers do something very specific in this preset, you basically first assign a per preset override. You pick any of these slots, doesn't matter which one, and you can have it be an effect or control switch or anything, and you select what you need. So let's say only in this preset we want to bypass the mega tap, and you assign the function. You can pick any color, and then go to the foot controller and make sure you remember the number you used. So in this case, 7, and then we'll pick number 7, and then only in this preset, this button will become the mega tap. Every other preset, it'll return to our global defaults. So even empty presets, these are our global defaults. And again, they can be any number you want. So if you have, again, specific presets for very specific sounds, this really helps. Like if you have a song that has like a certain delay type that you need to use only for that song, use the per preset function. If you have any other questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. And hopefully this helps you program your fractal. In the meantime, feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.